I actually worked on my dreams. I actually did things to work towards the goals that I had set. And I didn't just let fear or the situation stop me, but I actually did something about it.
Just when looking at you open up my big mountain, what do I say? Them can never lower you my way.
So it's been a while, and I just want to know, how are you doing? Where are you at in life? You know, we're already halfway through the year, and it seems things are still constantly changing, and the change is not slowing down. It's really been a year of uncertainty, and it's crazy to reflect on how much has happened. You know, we had the bushfires in Australia, and we had obviously the whole virus going on, and more recently you've had the protests, and they're such big things in and of themselves, and yet they've all happened in 6 months. You know, I think with the bushfires, we thought, wow, this is the thing. This is crazy what our land is going through. So for that to happen another event of that magnitude to happen another 2 times, history is just accelerating. But the thing is, do we take the time to reflect on what all these events mean for us, or how it's affecting us as people? As I've just finished exams, I've gotten to the actually half-yearly review page in my diary, and it seemed fitting that it literally happened just at that time. And I feel like I'm personally moving into a new season of life, still in that progression to university, but a new season of work, because like many of possibly you or just many people in the world, I did lose work as a result of coronavirus. And even reflecting on some of my earlier videos, you know, my whole no study, no money, no time video, I was literally talking about how it seemed like I had nothing going on in my life, yet I was still being really fruitful in that time. And then to think, wow, I went from that to suddenly having study and work. And then it's almost like God just refined my life to cut away at all that I was filling my plate up with, to just focus on study, because He knew that I needed that time to just be faithful with moving into that stage of life and really making the most of it. And yeah, I found myself loving it. And even though I thought it was a difficult pathway to get to where I'm ultimately getting to, and I wasn't just surprised at how much I have been enjoying it, but also at how much I really needed that time to focus on study. But I know now that because I was obedient to just committing my time in that season to uni, I know that I'm ready for the next stage, which is going back to work and building other aspects of financial health. And so I'm actually so blessed that I often forgot that I actually still had a job, even though my tutoring had fallen away. And I've been running classes online. But I guess I almost forgot it was work, because it was time that I was dedicating to invest in teenagers' lives and into their spiritual growth. And they're real VCE classes for them. But for me, I was just doing it because I wanted to. So I almost forgot that I was employed. But how blessed is what I need to remind myself of, because it's easy to think, oh, why don't I have work? But I just had to remind myself, how blessed am I to have had that, because it's a job that I was already doing online from home, 2 hours a week, and that wasn't affected by coronavirus, and I didn't have to travel anywhere for it, and it was something that I gained so much satisfaction from, and it's still going. But I also forgot, because I only get paid at the end of the year, but that's not that relevant to now. But I would say, reflecting on this first half of 2020 has been a time where it has made me realize that, I am moving into a new stage of life, and I am ready to get back to work. But I still need to trust that it's going to happen in the right timing and in the right way, and that it's, as much as I want to be hardworking and put myself out there and try and seek opportunities, I also know that it's not about me striving to find work. But so back to that whole trusting the timing and trusting the what, because in my own mind I can rationalize and try and think about all these different possibilities, but ultimately I know that I don't have the wisdom myself to figure out what the best opportunity or pathway is. So I know that it's coming, and I am putting myself into different situations to explore different possibilities, but we'll just have to see what works out. But I wanted to take this time to share my half-yearly review, even just for my own sake of synthesizing and reflecting on this half year, because I think it's really important for us all to reflect on this first half of the year, so we can find and recalibrate our direction for the second half of the year, and just be encouraged by what we really have achieved so far. So some things that I wrote down here was I ran an event and started an online marketplace for my social enterprise. So where I was going with that was a school club, and that looks like it was actually going to be launching, and because of COVID again, it didn't happen. But I'm encouraged to see that, wow, things did happen for that. I had the whole market stall, and I did set up an online store. And so while this outward success of that might not seem super fruitful, I know how fruitful it was for me on the inside, because I actually worked on my dreams. I actually did things to work towards the goals that I had set. And I didn't just let fear or the situation stop me, but I actually did something about it. And I know that going into the next season, I have to really focus on my priorities and be really intentional about how I'm scheduling my time and being careful with not taking on too much. But I'm glad for all that I did invest in the past into this social enterprise. And I know that while the initial vision I had for it might be still put on hold for a season, it's so that I can be building the freedom to be able to give it its all when the time is right. So this was a major goal for this year, and it hasn't stopped, but it's just looking and it's turning out to be different than I expected. So I know that instead of being disappointed about how it hasn't worked out how I expected, I know that I have to be encouraged for what I've already been able to do for it, but also being able to have the patience to know that it's going to come back into fruition when the time is right. And the online marketplace is still there. That's still going to be running in the background, but it's not going to be as active work as I thought it was going to be. So that's a bit of a reflection on that point. And another thing to note from the last 6 months that was accomplished was uni, basically. So maintaining a certain grade and just engaging with psychiatry, which is what the plan is to progress to. So I'm satisfied with how that has gone, and there's definitely been challenges along the way. There's been moments when I've been so frustrated with myself because I thought, why didn't I do this? Why did I make this silly mistake? Why did I not finish one of these exams? But I know that I was committed throughout the semester, and so that not only gave the result of being fulfilled with what I was learning, but also it made exam time easier. And I was constantly saying to people, I feel like I should be more stressed. And honestly, I realized that I'm not supposed to be stressed. You know, a lot of uni students are stressed because they're out every night drinking and partying, or just, you know, kind of not caring about what they're actually studying. Or, okay, I don't want to make generalizations and I don't want to judge anyone. I don't want to. But I'm just saying that personally I realized that it wasn't wrong for me to not be stressed, but it's just that people's lifestyles and choices and mindsets often lead them to become stressed at an exam time. And I know that some people are still really committed and really productive during the semester, and they also feel stressed at exam time, and I don't want to take away from that, and I don't want to invalidate that, but I'm just saying for me personally that was my experience, and that was what I realized. And so that was encouraging, and I know that moving into the future I still want to have those same work habits, but I know that with more on my plate I may feel slightly more pressurized at exam time, but it's okay, and that it was okay to have those moments of imperfection, because ultimately it's never going to be perfect. And as much as I want to achieve, there's always going to be moments where I fail, and I have to know that that's okay. But it's about picking myself up and still maintaining a decent standard. And there were some assessments where I didn't do as well as I wanted to at first, but I learned from those mistakes. I learned from those areas where I was misguided about what I was supposed to be doing, and I reclaimed it by actually figuring out exactly where I went wrong and trying to do better. And then even in those moments where I fixed those mistakes, I was still second guessing it. I was still thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I've done this assignment right this time even. Have I, you know, I'm a perpetual overthinker, which I am working on, and I don't want to declare that over myself, but I have tendencies towards overthinking, but I'm learning how to deal with that. So really, yeah, even in working on those mistakes to improve them, I still had doubts, but the end result, I saw how I grew from those mistakes and how I grew from those moments of imperfection. So although the semester had a lot of moments where I wasn't satisfied with my result, with my grades, or I wasn't satisfied with how I did on a specific quiz, whatever, ultimately the overall results speak for themselves, and that I was able to achieve the goals I had set for myself. Because in the scheme of things, I still did well because I was committed and I did all the hard work that I needed to do. But I also made sure to balance out my life with other things so that I didn't get caught up in only study. And yeah, just honestly, I just really learnt how to be kind to myself in a new way. Because, you know, in high school, I guess I faced similar feelings of perfectionism. And I dealt with a lot of those inner issues last year on my gap year. And I really have been healed a lot from that. But I think just because that drive in me to achieve my goals just brings back that disappointment when things don't go how I want. But ultimately, when I reflect now and look back at the overall results, I know that I can be satisfied with how it's gone. And I'm proud of that. And I'm glad for not being perfect 100% of the time. I'm glad for not getting it right all the time. I'm glad for making stupid mistakes. I'm glad for things like not checking enough, because it's taught me all these lessons that are going to help me to do things better in the future. And not just that, but just to have the inner resilience as well, and to chip away at that perfectionist mentality, but also to preserve that that work ethic at the same time, and to preserve that drive. So whether this is coming out in a comprehensible way, I'm not 100% sure, but it's cool how just filming this right now is really synthesizing my thoughts, and it's helping me to reflect myself. So the third area of just reflecting on what was accomplished in the first 6 months is just receiving revelation in my faith and reaching out to people as well. And I learned new aspects of God, and it really touched my life, and it's just been growing my love for him even more. And I'm just so grateful for the things that he has shown me of himself, and also for what he has brought to my life. But that's not where it's supposed to end. It's not supposed to end with us receiving, but we're meant to receive and be filled up so that we can pour out. And I'm glad to have had both those in tandem, because he's also presented me with opportunities to reach out to people, especially in such a time of need. I've been in need this season, but so have a lot of other people. So I'm so grateful that I was able to receive in my faith, but I'm also glad that I've been presented. I'm also grateful that I've been presented with opportunities to give back to others and to reach out to them, because ultimately receiving is only partially satisfying. Full satisfaction comes when we give that back out. And I'm not just saying this to be a good person, but I'm saying this out of a genuine place of experience. Literally, I'm the most satisfied when I see other people's lives impacted through taking action and through giving what I have received. And so that's why I've also been learning in this season how to do things out of a place of rest, and not just taking time for rest like I was learning before, but actually doing things out of a place of rest, because then that allows me to be filled so I can pour out. So yeah, that's what I'm going to carry on into this next season, and just in general to the rest of my life. I'm gonna carry on doing things out of a place of rest, so that I'm not always searching for how I can preserve myself, but I'm just living out of this place where I can bless and serve others, because I'm already strong in my foundations of who I am and my lifestyle that I'm living. So, there's a few other things like on here, like what goals am I focusing on the next 6 months, and major challenges that I'm expecting. And so I know that the whole COVID pandemic is going to still pose challenges. But I know that ultimately it's not a complete barrier, because I know the hope that I have. But it means that I'm also needing to receive and develop strategies for how I'm going to overcome these challenges. And that's what I've started to do a bit of, and I'm going to continue to do more of. But I'll just really encourage you right now to, if you've been reflecting on what your life has been like the past 6 months and where you're at right now, if you've been reflecting on that as I've been talking, or if you're going, and I encourage you, if you haven't, to reflect on it as I finish. As you reflect on what the last 6 months or the first half of the year has been like for you. As you reflect on that, I encourage you to also reflect on or consider what challenges are going to arise in the next 6 months, in the next half of the year. Consider what could come in the way. And we're never going to be able to predict completely, for sure. Life is always going to have its surprises. It's always going to throw new things at us. But yeah, if we can think about these things and be prepared for what possibilities are, or what current challenges there are, then we can be better equipped to fight them when they come, or better equipped to deal with them when they come. And so it means when we prepare our minds for these things, for challenges and for setbacks, then we're not living reactionary to things that happen, but we're actually able to respond in a considered way, and we don't have to think for so long about how we're going to respond, but we're at least partially prepared for it. Because I personally don't want to live a reactionary life, because that's just stress, right? That's stress. I want to live a peaceful life, and I already do receive a lot of peace through my faith. But in general, I just want to be living a life of being able to respond to whatever comes my way, and be living a life of intention with all the things that I'm already working on or I'm already doing. So just to tie things up, number 1, what has your first half of 2020 been like? Number 2, where are you at right now? What are you feeling? Let me know. I'd really love to hear down below, or even private message. Number 3, what are you anticipating for the next half of the year? And how are you going to set up strategies to deal with those challenges? So that was a lot, but I hope that has added some value to you, and I can't wait to see what the rest of this year brings.